Here we go. Hello. Hi, everyone. Okay. So, we got more culture stuff today. We got more cultural stuff to talk about. I watched the Noah Kahan movie. More aptly put, me and my girlfriend watched the Noah Kahan movie. I guess it's actually more properly, my girlfriend and I watched the Noah Kahan movie. Though, you grammar freaks will probably appreciate the correction. I'm sorry I had to make it in the first place. My bad. I was educated in some of the best spaces. And I shouldn't be making those kinds of mistakes. But to err is to be human. Or is that to breathe air? I don't know. But anyway, we watched the Noah Kahan movie, my girlfriend and I, and yeah, it was a really interesting movie. It was a very compelling movie. I am someone who's not invested in Noah Kahan. Okay, because of my girlfriend, the song "Maine" is on one of my playlists. She's like addicted. She said that the traffic light line is like crack to her. And I respect that, right? And I think we when she got home last week, she kind of wanted to watch the Noah Kahan movie just to have something on in the background. She thought it would be like a little bit of a concert movie. She would just listen to it as she was like making dinner and all that stuff. And, but yeah, by the midpoint of the movie, like dinner had been made. We were both on the couch and like, very invested in this movie, and there are a lot of interesting thoughts that came about as a result of this movie. And I guess the first thought that I want to address is that I think Noah Kahan is a very earnest person. Okay? I am going to level some criticisms at his platform, at this movie, and I just kind of want to, before I do any of that, hop on the mic and say, I think that he seems to be a decent dude. I think his heart is in the right place. But I'm not sure he's ready for where he's gotten. So to get into the movie a little bit more, the whole movie, it kind of just all builds into his Fenway Park performance, more or less. And through the sort of like, preparation and development into the, ostensibly the biggest show of his life, it explores a little bit of his past, it explores kind of his reasons for making music, and it explores, like, the traction that he kind of ended up getting. And one of the aspects that I thought was really interestingly relevant is this idea of, mental health. Noah Kahan, in particular, details a lot of the struggles that he has with my girlfriend jokingly called it manorexia. And so Noah Kahan at least has like an eating disorder or like body dysmorphia. And in as much as those two are not the same thing, and I kind of equivalated them, like, my bad, I assume. I'm not a mental health expert or any of that, so like please treat me with the light kid gloves if I'm talking about specific things. But I know he at least has body dysmorphia. I don't know if it's like a full-on eating disorder as a result. And I don't know how much body dysmorphia creates an eating disorder or, how the two are connected all that well. But, there is a large part where he talks about the way that when he gets, like, dressed, he, like, thinks about how he looks on stage, and he thinks more often than not that he's fatter than he looks, right? And, watching this is really refreshing in the sense that I, too, will, like, look in the mirror, and I'll judge myself for my little gut, I think it sounds like Noah Kahan might have a more serious problem than I do, but I also don't have millions of people staring at me, right? The most people, the most views any of these videos have gotten is like about 1,000. So I worry a lot less, but there's also a lot less at stake for me here. So, and this is where, again, like, I don't want to say, like, I don't think Noah Kahan is putting on, like, this body dysmorphia type shit, right? I don't think he's, like, playing to any extent. I think he's being very earnest about interacting with it. But in as much as he does really interact with, like, a area of, like, men's mental health, and this documentary, I think, does a really good job of actually addressing men's mental health, I do find it really fascinating. I think a lot of men aren't going to watch this because I think Noah Kahan is kind of more for the girls in a way, right? I don't necessarily think that's intentional. I don't think that's what he meant it to be. And honestly, I don't know too much about his fan base. So, and that's also not to say, obviously, if you're a guy and you like Noah Kahan, you watch this documentary, like, all the power to you. I just think there are a lot of people who probably struggle with a lot of what he talks about that ultimately aren't going to see this movie because they won't think they're the audience in regards to, like, men, right? But that's the men's mental health part kind of out of the way. And this is where I get into some more dicey territory of just, like, mental health as a cause in particular. Because Noah Kahan makes it, pretty clear that one of his, like, sort of main aspects to his motivation as an artist is to sort of address these elements of mental health. And, oh boy, is there a lot to address in this climate, right? Socially. And that's kind of where I have a problem with, and this is like artists in general kind of saying that, oh, I want to address mental health because, that kind of spans such a large, sort of like everything from like actual diagnosed like mental diseases to like, is your vibe okay? And I just feel like mental health as like a whole like branding thing is like very convenient for a lot of people who only really take it seriously in the sense of like, do I feel okay? And this is where I think it's like very interesting that the movie, I feel like in some way pitches like Noah Kahan's shtick and the interactions that his audience will have as like a kind of, way out of your mental health thing. I know at one point I saw somebody talking about, I'm pretty sure, from what I remember, somebody in the documentary talking about how they struggled with OCD, and now that they've listened to Noah Kahan, they feel like the struggle is kind of over, and it's like, yeah, that's not how it works. Right? Like, this is, like Noah Kahan actually himself does a great job of demonstrating, like, you could be this successful, none of this shit ends. Right? And I think that it is very weird, to a certain extent, for this documentary to kind of, in any way, imply that there is, like, on one hand, like, I think it's positive to say that there's light at the end of the tunnel for your mental health, struggles or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, the documentary also kind of the documentary itself isn't really interested in putting forth a version of mental health epidemics for Noah Kahan's fans in a way that is really realistic to a certain sense. Like, you get the sense that a lot of his fans kind of see themselves as in some ways over their mental health journeys because of an artist like Noah Kahan, which is like, how mentally unhealthy were you in the first place? So that's a little tangent about how Noah Kahan interacts with mental health and how the documentary does it. I do think there is a difference between the two. And then, the last thing, there's actually so much more about this documentary that I want to get into at some point, but I don't have the time, really. So, yeah, but I would really recommend checking out the Noah Kahan documentary. I find it really interesting. There were a lot more thoughts that I just don't have the time or the attention to get into 10 minutes. So, yeah, I hope you check it out, though. And if you do check it out, let me know. Let me know if you'd be interested in hearing more of my thoughts about it, because I definitely have more thoughts about the Noah Kahan documentary. No! The bad sound. Oof. Oof. It was a pretty rambly video, so I guess that's fair. All right, I'll see everyone tomorrow. I think we're going to talk about the X-Men. Hell yeah.